6:30. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals. Our meeting today is application 2023-014. The applicant is Robert and Ann Osmolak. The request is for a reclassification from the A1 Agricultural District to the E3 Estate District. The PIN number for this petition is 17-36-100-010. The address is 15020 Harmony Road, Huntley, Illinois. The property consists of approximately 39.9 acres and it's located on the north side of Harmony Road, approximately a quarter of a mile east of Seaman Road in Coral Township. This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated May 4, 2023 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and the date posted was May 4, 2023 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of mailing was signed and the date mailed was May 3, 2023 and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition, the legal notice, and the publication in the newspaper, and all three match. Filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition. The McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. I would like to have the board introduce themselves with their name and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Robert Kozin, Algonquin Township.
Donald Smolinski, Grafton Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra. I reside in Alden Township.
Vicki Gartner, Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
Now, I just, for members of the public that are here, I'd just like to be able to inform you how kind of this works, our proceedings. The petitioner will present their case, their evidence to the board, and when they're finished, then the board members will be able to ask them questions. When we are finished, then the staff could ask questions of their testimony. Then if any member of the public has a question regarding their testimony, what they brought before us today, you have the opportunity to ask a question. If you do so, you come up to the mic over here on my right, and you give your name and your address, and we limit questions to 3 minutes per person. And when you're finished with your questions, then we will get the report from staff. And then at the end of the hearing, when everything else is done, then if anyone wants to make a statement, a comment for or against this petition, at that time, then you could make a statement. And again, there's a 3-minute time limit, but that's kind of how it works. So at this point, anybody who thinks they might want to make a statement or ask a question, anyone giving testimony will need to be sworn in. So if you would like to do that, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. We're going to turn it over to the petitioner. Please identify yourself and then just give us your case.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Osmolak, and this is my wife, Ann. We are the current owners of the property at 15020 Harmony Road. It's a 39-acre parcel that we bought in 1988, and shortly after we purchased it, we built a residence on there where we raised our 4 children. And we have a residence, an agricultural barn. The property has been farmed since the day we bought it, even before we built our residence. And it currently is being farmed. And one of the reasons for this petition is because in dividing this property up, we'd like the area to remain agricultural. We were blessed to raise 4 children on a farm. And in a way, it breaks our heart that we can't live there anymore. But in deciding to sell the farm, I've had several inquiries. Several people have approached me, and everybody who I talked to has some interest in higher density development. And my wife and I talked about it, and we thought that the best way to maintain the agricultural character of the community and of this property is to divide it into parcels similar to the parcels that are exactly across Harmony Road on the south side of the road, which are all about 5 to 7 acre parcels. Those parcels have much less road frontage per parcel than these 4 parcels would have. But we thought that it would be ideal if people could still have enough land that they could maintain an agricultural product as a result of larger parcels that have single-family dwellings. So it would be lower density construction, and it would, we think it would be an asset to the county because it would increase tax revenue for the county, for the school district, but it would also keep the atmosphere as similar as it has been for the 35 years that we've owned it. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything that you folks may want to ask.
Mr. Osmalak, I just want to ask you, in your application, you addressed the approval standards for a map amendment from A1 to E3. There were 7 questions that you answered. Would you like to incorporate that into your testimony?
I would.
Okay.
The first question, is the proposed zoning designation compatible with the existing units and zoning of nearby properties? And absolutely, that is the case, because all of the parcels immediately across Harmony Road, as I just mentioned, are single-family residences, single-family dwellings on larger 5 to 7 acre parcels. So this proposed division of our farm would keep the same scenario or the same type of atmosphere, lower density, higher quality construction, which and specifically aimed at single families. The second one is, to what extent is the value of the subject property diminished by the existing zoning? The existing A1 zoning does not allow for the building of any other structures on the 40 acres. In order to divide this and build different homesteads, the zoning would have to be changed. So in that regard, the current designation of A1 does not, it diminishes the property, but it also, I think, diminishes the community. The third is there a benefit, healthy, safety, and welfare under the current zoning? Is there a benefit to the health, safety, and welfare of the public under the current zoning? Not really. I think that the area is better served with 3 more higher quality homes there, with children in the school district contributing, and with the owners of the property contributing more than agricultural land contributes to the county coffers. Other than that, I don't see that there would be any difference between 4 parcels and 1 larger parcel of 40 acres. I don't think there would be a difference to the community at all in that regard. But I think for health and safety issues and all, I think that with regard to essential services, I think those will probably be improved as the area grows with more houses, more tax base. I think that will be a blessing for the community. Number 4, is the property suitable for uses allowed under the current zoning designation? Yeah, the current A1 zoning has been utilized, as I mentioned, from the time that we bought the property, and it's been maintained as a farm. We'd like to see it maintain that type of character, and hopefully, with some sort of cash crop, whether it be alfalfa or whether it be a row crop. The folks across the street do that now. They farm out the fronts or the backs of their properties. There are people across the road that have equine stables, they have horses. We think all that adds to the community. And I think it adds to the quality of life, not only for the people in the new houses, but I think also for the people in the community. For those of us who love animals, these parcels, pretty much are perfect for somebody who has, horses or cattle or whatever. Property, in question number 5, how long has the property been vacant? It has not been vacant since we built our house in 1990. We bought the property in 88, we built our house in 90, and we got our occupancy permit in 1990. And it has not been vacant, and it has been, as I said, it has been farmed ever since we bought it. Number 6, is there a public need for the proposed use of the property? I think there is a need for quality homes, larger quality homes on larger pieces of land with less density. I think higher density construction puts an undue strain on the school district and the emergency services. I think that this is the best solution for the area, in addition to maintaining the country atmosphere. And number 7, is the proposed use consistent with McHenry County's 2030 and beyond comprehensive plan? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. In looking at that plan, this is exactly what the county has specified for this area, and we're happy to work with that, even though we're happy that the county chose that rather than higher density housing for this area. We like the county's plan, and we think it's a good one. And that's it.
Okay. Questions from the board, starting on my left, Mr. Cozen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. How soon do you expect to put this parcel or parcels on the market?
Well, we're not sure about that because we have not, although we have a civil engineer and a surveyor involved in the process now, it'll take a while for us to finally come to agreement as to exactly where the boundaries for the different parcels will be. There's a piece of wetland down at the bottom along the road, and I've already talked to Spring Duffy at the Soil and Water Conservation, and we know there's a buffer, and we're going to work with the Soil and Water and the civil engineer to make sure that we follow all the guidelines to the T. I would say at least a year before anything would be finalized. It certainly won't be this summer because the process it moves slowly.
As a 30-year occupant of the property, what was the best season that you enjoyed on the property?
Well, fall was always, to us, harvest was always special. The changing of the leaves, seeing the harvest, that to me was very satisfying. Ann, how about you? What do you think?
Maybe summer, because we had a big garden, vegetable garden. The
Yeah.
kids were all involved in the garden and just being outside. Lots of place for the kids to run around. We had lots of dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats.
So summer was spring and summer.
Yeah.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Smolinski.
Yes, I'm interested in your expected plan. You didn't give us any prospective plan for the 4 lots there, but I did notice in your testimony there that you're estimating 1 lot to be 15 acres and 3 8-acre
Correct.
lots. Is that the plan?
Yes, in talking with the engineer, we had originally talked about 5 lots instead of 4, but I think that would have compromised the width of the property that our existing residence is on. And I think it would have put the border too close to a neighbor's property to try to squeeze a 5th parcel in there. So rather than do that, I decided to make the parcel with our existing home on it a larger parcel so that the size of the building, and there's a farm building there and also the house. And I think it lays out more proportionately with a little wider piece of land. So to me, it's not a matter of profit, it's a matter of doing what's right for the area. So having a little larger piece of land for the existing home and the existing barn, more road frontage, that would only allow us with E3 zoning to have, the other parcels would be approximately 8 acres.
Yes, I did go out and visit the site yesterday, and also on your testimony, and you did answer the question that the 15-acre one is the current, where your current residence
Correct.
is now.
Correct.
The other three, I note that you had estimated there to be a 35-foot frontage on the, on Harmony Road. Does that mean these are really gonna be flag lots?
I don't know what a flag lot is, you'd have to,
Flag lot is a small frontage on the roadway for like a driveway or thing, and then it goes out narrow.
Oh,
and
opens up in the
widens
back?
in the back.
yeah, no. These, each one of these 3-acre parcels, or the 8-acre parcels, the 3 8-acre parcels, approximately 8 acres. Every one of those would have approximately 265 to 275 lineal feet of road frontage. That's in accordance with the E3 zoning, which has a minimum of 250 feet.
Okay, yeah, because on your narrative there, it said 30 to 35 foot linear road frontage.
That's 30 to 35 linear feet per acre.
Oh, okay.
So if there was 8 acres, you multiply that 30 to
Okay,
35.
I get that.
Okay.
I get
Yeah,
that.
you know, there's
I didn't
LF
understand that. from
Yeah,
that
there's
side.
LF, which is linear feet, and then there's RF, which is road frontage, and in reading that now, I realize it was confusing, I apologize.
No, that's all right, that's fine. So do you anticipate the houses being built back like yours is, or front, or it depends? What do you think will happen?
I think that's going to be a matter of preference for whoever buys those lots. Based on our experience over 35 years, Harmony Road has gotten busier and busier and busier. And the farther you are back off Harmony Road,
Sure.
the quieter it is. So whoever decides to build there, whether they put a horse stable there or whatever they want to do, my recommendation would be the land in the back to the north is higher than the road frontage, than close to the road. I think we did well to build back. And my recommendation to anybody would be, build it as far back as you can. But again, I don't know what.
Personal preference?
Yeah. It's more expensive to do it that way. You have to put in a longer driveway.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to maintain a longer driveway. You got to plow snow on a longer driveway and spray weeds on a longer driveway, and it's just more work. But it has benefits, especially with kids. The farther you are from the road, the safer they are too.
So then, we would probably anticipate if someone's gonna do some farming, now I don't know if they'd be able to do cash crops on only an 8-acre parcel, but if they did grazing for horses or things like that, it would be in the front part, more than likely.
More than likely. The folks across the road have cash crops in the front and the back, depending on where their buildings are situated. Those are all approximately 5 to 7 acre parcels, and some of them have land in the front that's it's tillable, and some of them have land in the back. It all depends on what they choose, and I would suggest to anybody there to keep it ag. We love ag. We love ag. We really do.
Did you farm your property yourself or lease it?
For a while, I farmed it myself, and more recently, I've leased it.
Leased it out?
Yeah.
And I noticed that the eastern portion of it is tillable there, and the western half of it is in an alfalfa or grass or hay or what you got there.
Yeah. I was, at that point in time, the decision was made by the person who was leasing it that he wanted to invest in the alfalfa. And for whatever reason, I don't know if he wanted it for his cows or if he had horses or whatever. And when he asked me, I said, fine. You know, I just promised him that he'd be entitled to it for at least another 5 years, because the investment of planting the alfalfa was considerable, and I just wanted him to know. And he's been there for more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Mr. Eldridge.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Why did you decide to go for E3 rather than E5?
E5 zoning required a minimum of 330 linear feet of road frontage, from what I was told by the county. And that wouldn't have worked here in order to get 3 or 4 additional lots. Originally, I was going to split it up into 5 8-acre parcels, but the way that the current house and barn are built, they took more land proportionally, and when we laid it out, I was never thinking of splitting the land up someday. That was 35 years ago. So in considering talking to the surveyor and talking to the civil engineer, and then talking to the ladies at the county, I decided that the most appropriate thing was to have at least a minimum of 250 feet of road frontage for each one of these parcels. And as it lays out pretty well that way. And that's why I'm asking for E3 instead of E5.
What is your total road frontage?
Total road frontage is approximately quarter of a mile, 1,320 some square feet, linear feet. It's a 40 acres, so it's approximately a quarter mile by quarter mile.
Okay, well, with 1320, you could get four parcels with the frontage.
Not the way that that current residence lays out with the tree line and all, it works out better with a 16 acre for the house and then 3 additionals of 8 acres apiece. Because
I understand why you did it, but and I certainly have complete faith in your integrity, but it does permit a subsequent buyer to get a lot more parcels if he wishes to re-subdivide.
I didn't know an 8 acre could be subdivided again. I'm not familiar with any of that.
If you're at E3, they don't have to be more than 3 acres. And they might have to put a little road in, but it can be re-subdivided. That's all.
I'm not aware of that, and I was doing this because I was hoping that these would be into parcels larger than the ones across the road. That's all, with more road frontage.
Thank you.
Ms. Gardner.
Thank you. Are you still living in the residence there?
No,
Okay, so have you sold that residence?
no.
So
No.
it's vacant?
Well, we still use the house. We're not, it's you know, we still have furniture and all there. We have, I come back often as up until about a year ago, or up until COVID, let's say, we have 2 adult sons who work downtown, and they were living in the house. And then COVID screwed everything else up, and so that changed the whole scenario for us. And after that, the boys decided they didn't want to live there anymore, and that's when we decided we have to do something.
Okay, so you decided that it was too big for just the 2 of you, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
it was great for 4 kids. It really was.
Yeah.
It was a great place to raise 4 kids.
Yeah, then there's a lot of toilets to clean when nobody's there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Schnapper.
Yes, thanks. I have no questions at this time.
Ms. Beverly.
Thanks. The only question I have is, are you selling these lots yourself, or are you intending on selling it to a developer who's going to take care of it?
I appreciate that question. I'm leery of developers because I think developers are just looking to make the most money per acre as possible. And Ann and I talked about that, and that would be a real blemish for the community and for our old farm. So if it has to be that I sell myself, I'm going to sell myself. And if it turns out that I have to put a caveat that they can't be subdivided, those 8-acre parcels, I'll be happy to do that because I really want to see it maintain the integrity of the farming community that it was when we bought it 35 years ago. We just loved it there. I mean, we really did, and we don't want to see that change. And those houses across the road are, if that's a good example of what it would turn into, that's kind of what we're hoping for. And I'm not in a hurry to sell them, and I'll be happy to work with the county to make sure that they don't get subdivided, because I'm not familiar with any of the zoning laws or any of that, but I would be happy to work in any way possible, because we really want to see, I mean, you know, we lived there for a long, long time, and that was, our kids still have, you know, the fondest memories of growing up on that farm, the fondest memories, and we don't want that to change. We'd like to have other families have the same feeling. I get choked up about it, actually.
Well, our kids say they want their kids, our grandchildren to come and see.
Yeah, we have grandkids
Go
now.
out there and see it.
And they say, Dad, before you sell the house, please, can we take the kids back, the grandkids back to Harmony Farm? They want to see where they grew up. It was really, you know, Ann said it right, the dogs, the cats, you know, I own cattle. I don't have any here in Illinois, but I do own cattle, and I'm an animal lover, so I don't want to see that turn into subdivision city. I've been approached by a couple people, and I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I think that would, it's doing the right thing for the community. That's what's the important thing here, I think. You know, it's not whether I could put, you know, that's why when it turned out that the decision was made to go to 4 lots and not 5, I didn't have any problem with that, because I think that's the right thing for the house that's there and giving the other folks enough room to have that country atmosphere around their residence, you know. So I'm not working with any developers.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off Mr. Eldridge's point that, like, if you were selling the parcel as a whole, it could be subdivided, but if you're doing your own thing, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have no questions. Does staff have any questions?
No questions.
Does any member of the public have a question based on his testimony that they would like to ask the petitioner? If so, please come up to the microphone. And again, please state your name and your address.
Okay, my name is Wayne Jarash. I just recently purchased the last piece of property right across the street from Bob. And my address is, just got it, it's 14901 Harmony Road. And I just got my first crop of alfalfa, just got that taken care of, which was great. I just have a couple questions. I appreciate the fact that you're not going to subdivide it, because I was very much concerned with that. Didn't want to turn into a bunch of houses. I love that atmosphere that's out there. I'm building my shed right now for my equipment, and I just wanted to make sure that that subdivision wasn't going to happen. I'm very concerned about that. And the other issue is the safety issue. You're absolutely correct that Harmony Road's got busier and busier and busier. I'm just concerned about the enter-exits that you come with. I think you should be on top of that and make sure that it's done in a way that it's safe for everybody to go through. So other than that, I have no questions.
You don't have a question for him?
No. I guess I made a statement. I should have waited.
Does anyone have a question? Yes, sir.
Hi, Bob and Ann. Jim Kearns, just to the east of you there. I only have one question. My property to the east drains through your property. Do you have the tile maps? And I don't know in our zoning that we ever require tile maps on that on properties. So my question is do you have existing tile maps? Because if those tiles that flow through my property to yours down to the wet hole there, if those are disturbed, my property's not going to drain at all.
Yeah.
And that's a big concern of mine.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that to me once before, Jim, and honestly, I don't have any maps at all of any field tiles. But if it's a concern to you and you need to do some tiling before I get to the point, let's talk about it and we'll work it out, because I want it to, I certainly don't want this to be a detriment to you especially.
Okay, well, no, thank you on that, and I'll have to say, I'm actually glad he's going to estate zoning rather than, if they're gonna split it up, rather than leave it as A1. And the reason for me to say that is because of the new solar farm situation on A1. So I would rather see it go to estate, because I don't wanna look at a solar farm.
Any other questions? Okay, at this time, we'll take testimony from the public, starting with the staff. Anna will give us her staff report summary.
Good afternoon. As we know, this property is currently zoned A1. All the properties that are immediately surrounding it are also zoned A1. There are some parcels, though, although zoned A1, would meet standards for either an E3 or an E5 estate classification. And as you can see from the map here, roughly a little less than a quarter mile away, there are some E3 estate, or excuse me, not E3, E1 estates that are in the area there. Surrounding land use, it is a mixture in the area of agricultural and single-family residences. So the request for a estate classification certainly meets the character of the surrounding land uses. The future land use map does establish this area as a estate classification, with the properties to the south being designated as residential, so slightly higher designation to the south as opposed to the north, east, and west of this particular property. The one gentleman had mentioned about drain tiles. Drain tiles typically are not covered as part of a reclassification. They will be part of the subdivision review process. Before you entertain putting in drain tiles, I would urge that you talk to our stormwater people first, see what requirements there are for that. Certainly don't want to impact you negatively, and that's not the goal. The goal is to make certain things drain properly. So, that concludes the testimony. Just wanted to say that staff has no objection to this request.
And also, you have a letter from Coral.
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Or you would have been reminding me.
Okay, so we did receive a letter dated May 18th, 2023 from Coral Township. Dear Zoning Board of Appeals members, on May 10th, 2023, Coral Township passed a motion not to object to the district zoning change request of A1 to E3 for the recorded address of 15020 Harmony Hill Road. The board feels this request will maintain the rural character of the area and will not burden township services. If there are further questions regarding our motion, please feel free to contact me at this phone number. Sincerely, Bill Damish, Supervisor, Coral Township.
Does any member of the board have a question for staff? Okay, so at this time, we would take any statements on a member of the public. So if anyone wants to make a statement for or against this petition, now's your opportunity. Again, come up to the mic and state your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Madam Chairman.
Sure.
My name is Lisa Burnt, and I'm speaking for myself and my mother, Gloria Stogsdill. Our address is 14316 Harmony Road, and we have lived there for 39 years. And we do hope for your best successful endeavor and what you're asking for. We just wanted to make the statement that we so appreciate the support and understanding of the A1 zoning districts in terms of the understanding of the right to farm laws, in terms of discomfort that can sometimes come from machinery, herbicides, noise, animal activity. So we appreciate what you had to say regarding, it's a wonderful opportunity to have a wonderful world, and we look forward to retaining that character as we have always done so. We're happy, though, to be here today, and we know that at some point reclassification is important information, and we appreciate the expertise of the board in this term. So we thank you very much for looking toward what you're doing appropriately. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to make a statement? Yes, certainly.
I appreciate those kinds words, and Gloria's husband, Bill, was one of the finest neighbors anybody could have ever asked for. Bill Stockson. I'm sorry he's not here.
Today would have been his 95th birthday.
Is that right? God
Yep.
bless.
Yeah.
God bless. Great guy. Great guy.
I only have one other statement. and
Again, for the record, you'll have to.
Oh, Jim Kearns again. One other statement and question. I believe Bill and Ann, when they're saying that they want to split that into 4 lots, one of the questions that did concern me when you said they could re-subdivide that, someone else could re-subdivide that from E3 to maybe E1s later on. I don't know how.
I don't think that was your question.
There is no
was it, Charlie?
drawings, and that's what I'm concerned. I'd like
No,
to see the
that was,
drawings.
that's not what he meant, that it could be redone to E1.
No, what I meant was that with the E3, it requires 3 acres.
Right.
And this is a 40-acre parcel, so you could get theoretically 12 or 13 parcels.
So they could not re-subdivide it later on, someone else?
Someone else could re-subdivide it to maybe 10 parcels.
And they would have to put roads in and everything.
Whatever they'd have to do to meet county standards, but anything that E3 permitted, they would have the right to do without coming back to us. If they wanted to go to 1-acre parcels, they would have to rezone it as E1, which is going through this process again.
Okay. And so I'm okay. I totally support this, and I just want to say this again. I totally support what you're doing there. But that one question kind of clouded my mind when you said that as a statement. So thank you for clarifying that.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a statement? Do you have a closing statement, sir?
I just want to thank all of you for having this hearing today and being so cordial with us. It's been a real pleasure to live on a farm on Harmony Road. Really has. It was a unique opportunity to raise 4 kids who all have the fondest memories of it. And in a way, we wish we could still live in Illinois, but unfortunately, times change and opportunities. As you get older, things, our opportunities are no longer there. But it was one of our greatest joys. And Ann reminds me all the time how much she misses the farm. So thank you. Thanks for the hearing today too. Appreciate that.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the hearing portion of this meeting and we'll open the voting portion of the meeting. So again, this is petition 2023-014, applicant Robert and Ann Osmolak, and the reclassification from the A1 Agricultural District to the E3 Estate District. Address is 15020 Harmony Road, Huntley, Illinois, consisting of 39.9 acres located on the north side of Harmony Road, about a quarter of a mile east of Seaman Road in Coral Township. This time I would entertain a
Madam
motion.
Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge and seconded by Ms. Gardner to approve the petition. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes. I've stated I would be more comfortable if they were asking for E5 instead of E3, but I'm going to support the petition. This is an area that, while a great deal of it remains A1, and it is to a very considerable extent smaller parcels, which for historical reasons are buildable, and the character of the neighborhood will not be changed by what the petitioner is proposing. I believe in his good faith, and while it is true that if some chance happened and it was sold as a single parcel to someone at some point, they could get as many as 10 or 12 parcels out of it. Because of petitioner's intent, I think that's relatively unlikely. I think that this is an area that in the 2030 plan was designated as a state, and that this portion of Pearl Township has a character of a lot of rural estate type subdivisions, and therefore I'm going to support the petition.
Mr. Cozen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I too support this petition because during the course of our introduction of the county's review of its upcoming planning process, the question was posed to us is what do we think is the most pressing need? And for me personally, it is to continue the diversity of housing and housing opportunities in the near future. And this is one where we hope that in that forward future timeline, Harmony Road does not mean just Harmony Road as in a more dense township as I'm from, but one that one will continue to see the roadway and worry about the gravel, the mailbox, and where did the cat go for the evening. I too support this petition.
Mr. Smolinski.
Yes, I think I have to admit to being one of those people who have contributed to the increase in traffic on Harmony Road. I go from Del Webb out west a lot, traveling Harmony Road, so I do appreciate the character of the road from Del Webb out to Route 20 there at Harmony. So it's just a beautiful area, and I'm pleased that it's going to remain that way, and I will support the petition.
Ms. Gardner.
I also support this petition. I feel like this is the natural progression of this property and others like yours that kind of, a coming of age. Now it's time to, grow up and get some houses on it. So it feels like a good move to me, so I'm in support.
Mr. Schnapp.
Yes, thanks. I've watched that area develop over the course of more than 30 years with many years worth of daily drive-bys, and I have a family member that owns 5 acres across the street, just down the road a bit further from you. This is, in my opinion, totally appropriate for your area, and I think Mr. Eldridge raised the point about some future more dense possible subdivision, but nothing is ever perfect. In this case, I believe in the motives as you state them, and I think you truly believe that, and that makes me want to support the petition even more just because of both of your attitudes regarding that. So yes, I do support the petition.
Thank you.
Ms. Beckle.
Thank you. I agree with everyone else's comments regarding the petition. The Soil Water Conservation District report indicated that there might be some challenges to building in certain spots of the property. So I feel really confident in saying that I don't think it'll be subdivided, be too expensive. This was really well done, wonderful application. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And I'll just add that I agree with the comments of my fellow board members. And also, I, as a fellow farmer, I can just feel your love of the land and of farming, and it just makes my heart just feel so good. And I can tell, even the way you divided this up, Soil and Water Conservation report, and you didn't mention this, but they said every effort should be made to protect the oak woodland near the existing structures on the parcel. And the way you want to divide it does exactly that, by keeping that as a 15-acre parcel so that all those trees will stay on the parcel.
Yep.
With your buildings.
Yep.
And oaks are extremely susceptible to damage caused by construction. If it was subdivided into 3-acre lots and they were going to try and put roads back in there,
No.
it would damage the beauty of that you know, that gem of a property that you've had for so many years in your family.
Yeah.
And so your stewardship of that in trying to divide that, I commend that.
Thank you.
And so I also am in favor of the petition. I think it meets the standards in our ordinance for reclassification. So now I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Mr. Smolinski?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. It'll go to the county board 7-0 approving the petition. That's all we have today. So at this time, our meeting's closed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Yeah, you too, Charlie. Go home and take care of your dad. Oh, yeah, for the mayor. That's right.
Finally get to meet you.